computer. And so chiropractic algebra, and as I like to say, this is the magic formula for practice success. And so I had Algebra 1 in the 8th grade, and Mr. Vincent taught us Algebra 1. I was always strong in math, and so I enjoyed it. But there was a classmate named Howard Stone, and I'm going to tell you that this happened every day, and you're going to shake your head and not really believe me. But every single day, Howard would make sure to raise his hand and interrupt Mr. Vincent to ask, hey, Mr. Vincent, can we have the rest of the day off? And so he might be 7 steps into a proof or something, and it always drove him crazy. And like people got scared of algebra, but the reason that algebra is so powerful or so important is that this is the formula to practice success. And so in English, it's new patients times PVA times OVA equals collections. So collections equals new patients multiplied by patient visit average multiplied by office visit average. And so if you were to make a note, if you're taking notes, I would encourage you to draw this whatever this is, right? And so we're going to build 3 columns. We're going to have 2 lines above the column, and it's this, right? 1 is just the formula, and then 2, this is the 200 visit a week formula. 1 new patient per calendar day, a retention of 30, and then I pick $75 a visit. And I know that some of you on this call are much more than that, and some of you on this call are near there, and some of you on this call are a little bit less than that. But this is the number that I picked. And again, at 200 visits a week, that equals 823,000. The math here, I guess it should equal 750,000 if it was just 200. And so this math is probably a little bit over 200. 200 visits a week, generically 50 weeks a year is 10,000 visits. So it makes determining, you multiply that by your office visit average. But, even at $50 a visit, it's $500,000, which is powerful. But like for a lot of you, at $100 a visit, which I have several clients at or better, right? It's $1 million, 200 visits a week. At $70 a visit, 300 visits a week is $1 million. And so then the 3 columns are new patients. And you're only a new patient in my system once. If I saw you in 1986 and I have record of it, and you come back today, you're not a new patient, you're a reactivation. Right? If you have a new case, if you're in a car accident, if you did this, if you got new insurance, if it's a new diagnosis, you present it with a new condition, all of that is important, but you're not a new patient. You're a new patient once, right? You become what I call a treating new patient when you agree to pay for some service, right? Patient visit average. And so what this measures, this is also called retention. What this measures is the number of visits that your average patient receives in their lifetime. And so I always like to start that question of what should it be? And like, what should it be based on? I say it should be based on the clinical need. And so the way that I language this is I'd like my PVA to be 40 plus 12 times my average patient's lifespan. So say they're going to live 50 more years, that's another 600 visits. So it's some kind of number that we're never going to approximate. And so in the real world, I want to reach 25, and then I want to reach 40, and then I want to reach 60, right? And if you can reach 60 with 30 new patients a month, that's 1,800 visits a month, right? At even $50 a visit is $90,000 a month. Right? Again, I like to measure PVA in 2 decimal points, 32.46. It is an average, but it's a specific number. Office visit average, what you collect per visit, total cash divided by total visits. So when I ask docs, what do you collect per visit? The most common answer is, well, it ranges between 45 and 80 or 60 and 200, right? And while that does patient per patient, if we put them all into the Vitamix and we blended it up, there would be an average number. And so as a first step to be a better manager and a better entrepreneur and a better chiropractic business person is to know your numbers, right? And so the attachment that I sent you is an old chiropractic algebra. It takes you through all of this. And the assignment is, and we'll talk about it in a second, is to define your gap. Where are you? Where do you want to be? And what's the difference between those two? And oftentimes, the gap is not as big as you think it is. Yes, I agree. Thank you, Dr. Jeremiah. And so the first column is 1 new patient per calendar day. And I talk about it in 5, what I like to call silos: the internet, internal marketing to stimulate referrals, corporate marketing, which we just heard an example of, public marketing. And so corporate marketing for employees, public marketing for people in the public. And so sometimes there's a blend. And then lastly, personal sphere of influence. And so that becomes how the marketing fits in. 30 visits, PVA is all the patient contacts. Day 1, day 2, regular office visit, new patient orientation class, re-exam, re-report of findings, graduation visit, and reactivation visit. And then business-wise, there's a bunch of procedures, map cards, batch booking, financial agreements, kept appointment procedures, paperwork, office meetings, stats, one-stop front desk, answering the phone, debt reduction, wealth accumulation, all that stuff I kind of put over into this column. And that is kind of beyond the scope of today, but it is there and it is part of the overall system. And so we're going to deal with the first 2 columns. This is the way the whole picture looks. And so if you were ever asked for a 1-page chiropractic business plan, thanks. This is what it looks like, right? And so that's where the road, where we're going is above. You could even remove the actual algebraic formula and put something motivational up there. And so that's a 1-page business plan. And so, what's really possible, again, this is just $50 and $75. And so knowing where you are and where you want to get to, 30 is 900 visits a week. It's it's 207 a week. It's 900 a month, excuse me, and 207 a week. And at $75, that's $675 a year, right? So your first assignment, again, so how many new patients a month are you generating? What is your, even now, year-to-date PVA? What is your year-to-date OVA? And if you wanted to look even from the, the last 365 days or since the beginning of last year, that would be super accurate. So where are you? Where do you want it to be? And what's the gap between the two? And so frequently, there's 1 leg that's strong, there's 2 legs that's strong, and we only need to fix 1 leg, right? And it creates tremendous. And so I want you to think about your practice visually like this. If it was a 3-legged triangle and your goals for your goal algebra was 100% of each leg. So you want to collect, $80 a visit and you're at $80 a visit. So that's 100%, right? You want your PVA to be 30, you're at 30, that's 100%. And so where are you on each of your 3 legs, right? And if they're relatively equal, you're at 73 to 76% on all 3 legs. You can pick any leg to focus on if you choose. But as one of the things that Jeremiah shared, fixing the new patient problem is the most important first thing to fix. When you know that you can reach your flock. And one thing that he didn't share about different people doing different things is that we're all going to attract different people, right? And so the energy and how it's set out and the communication, and we're going to attract different people. So the people that he attracts, it's not going to be the same subset of the people that I attract or that you attract. And so having multiple people going out is important as well. And so making that work. Here's another concept I want you to think about. if you grow your average number of visits from last year by 1, this year you do 1 visit more a week than last year. You grow by 52 visits total. How much more revenue, if everything else was the same, is that worth, right? And so at $75 a visit, 1 more visit a week is worth $37.50 per year. 10 more visits per week is worth $37.5 per year. And 100 more visits a week is worth $375,000 a year in business, right? Service-based, mission-based, but here's the business. And so this is what I want for all of you. I want all of you on this call 366 days from now to be seeing at least 100 visits more. But like, I would like you to get to 200 as well. But like, if that puts you over 200, that's good too. But even just growing by 100 visits, and if it takes you 2 years, it takes you 2 years, right? And so $375,000 or more in growth. And again, if you're only collecting $50 a visit, right? It's still $2,500 a year, $25,000 for 10 extra visits a week, and $250,000, $250,000 a year by growing 100 visits a week, right? And doing the better service, right? All right. And so we create this administrative, how do we take all of this and make it happen? And so we have our mission, right? Something that we didn't work on. If you went to business school and got an MBA, they would teach you the concept of a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal, right? And so growing by $375,000 is a big, hairy, audacious goal. Or, you know, doing $1 million this year, it's a big, hairy, audacious goal. So define that. And then the formula, like, so to do $1 million, what's your actual algebra? Well, it's 33 new at 33 retention at $70 a visit, or whatever it is, right? Then, and we're going to work on this now, what is the written plan for the elements of the formula? What's your written plan for new patients, for marketing, for dissemination? What's your written plan to build retention, right? And then how do we take those written plans and get the stuff done? And so each week, every employee, and if it's just you, then it's you, right? Every employee should reset their to-do list. All the fires that came up that we need to put out, all the stuff that we already had scheduled from before that came due now, and from our written plans, what we plan on getting done this week. And so we just heard one, right? Doing 5 business drop-ins. That's a to-do for the week. You know, if you just did that and just got that from today, you would have growth. And so we take those written plans, we take those weekly to-dos, and down one step of the daily powwow is to have everybody, starting with you, lead by example, share with your team, share with this group, share with me, what are your 6 most important tasks today? And then once you start doing it, what happened to yesterday's? Here are my 6 most important. So I got these 5 done. I didn't get this one done. I struck out on this step, right? And what's your most important steps today? And this ties your daily actions to the big mission of changing the world one spine and nervous system at a time. And we're going to do all of this, right? Underneath being the doctor and caring for people in a present time consciousness with our best clinical abilities, and changing their lives by doing what we do, right? Takeaways here.
That was super strong. I have the powwow. One of my previous employees didn't like that because it's an Indian reference. But
It could be the daily stand-up meeting.
Our huddle.
You mean Native American, don't you?
Our huddle is solid, but I'm going to incorporate bringing in and giving everybody the challenge of identifying their 6 most important action steps to bring into that.
And so if you could work with them during the day so that you know the next day it's going to be like, close to right, so that you're setting them up for success. Right. Other takeaway, anybody?
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you for,
Great.
You know-
Marie?
I should have become a chiropractor.
Well, it's not too late. All right. And so again, here's what the one-page business plan looks like. And here's the algebra. All right, now we're into marketing. And so if to create a written plan, I also sent you one of the documents I sent you, right? And so what I want to gear today towards is the specific actions to get new patients now. And so on my training site, there are a bunch of different methods. I'm going to include others on this page, but like we heard one strategy already, which is business drop-ins. And so, you should make it a mission to want to do 10 a week or 5 a week or whatever the number is, right? To get new patients today. This is out of sequence. I want to get back to that. The new patient problem, right? We did all this. All right. I sent you an ideal patient worksheet, and this is worth looking at, right? And so this is a super deep dive, and we're going to use this in many different ways. Hang on.
I didn't get any email with the downloads, so I don't know if they're pertinent to me, but I just wanted to let you know.
Thanks. If you registered, you would have got it, but you should have gotten it. You should check your spam. Where's the ideal new patient document? Well, I guess I can get it from the email, right? Hang on, sorry guys. Teaching old dogs new tricks. Hang on. File downloads. Ideal new patient avatar. Maybe that's why. All right. And so this is a super deep dive into our ideal new patient. And so you should have at least one of these, if not multiple ideal new patients, right? And so I like the Mr. Potato Head, right? There's a bunch of moving parts. It could look a lot of different ways. And so to go through this exercise, what condition does your avatar present with? How long have they had this condition? On a 0 to 10, how bad are the symptoms? What have they tried to correct the problem? How successful was that treatment? Have they ever been adjusted before? What activities are affected by your avatar's condition? How old are they? What's their gender? What's their relationship? How many kids? What's their home life like? What do they wear? What's their education level? What do they do for a living? How much does your avatar make? Right? What are their interests? What are their favorite internet sites? Who do they follow online? What shows or videos do they watch on TV or online? What physical or online groups do they belong to? What are their favorite books? Who are their heroes? Right? What do they do on a daily basis? What do they do on the weekends? Right? What's their single biggest frustration? What behaviors do they display because of that? What keeps them awake at night? Their indigestion boiling up in their esophagus, eyes open, staring at the ceiling, right? Would that be a good thing to know? What are they afraid of? What pisses them off? What's their 3 daily frustrations? What do they want most in the world right now? What are their future aspirations? What do they secretly desire most? What trends are occurring or will occur in your avatar's life? Is there a built-in bias the way your avatar makes decisions? Right? What does your avatar want to believe about their frustration or their condition? How many of us, the patients just believe that that's the way they are now and it's permanent? What does what do they dislike about you, us, our profession, and what we sell, right? What are the emotions associated with your avatar's frustrations? What must you demonstrate to be true in order for your ideal patient to want to do business with you, right? And then to summarize, what do they need or want? What's stopping them from achieving it? What do they believe is the solution that they want? What do they dislike about the solution? What sucks about it? What's the first milestones that they were experienced on their journey to their ultimate desired result? What are the 5 small wins? What's the first signs of progress? And so again, this is not necessarily an exhaustive list, but there's going to be many uses in terms of communication and marketing that we can use from all of these. And so again, thoughts about this avatar and these questions beyond just the ones that we typically think about. Comments, takeaways?
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I think that knowing your avatar gives you clarity on how to market to them, right?
And puts you in their souls, and like,
Right,
you should
how to
you
track
should
it.
have an image of it and like name
Right.
it and like,
Right, and it's all about life impact. I mean, all those questions you brought up are about the life impact for that avatar and for that patient. And like, they don't just having clarity that they don't really care about us or our, some of my associates seem to have some resistance in getting to know their patients. And I tell them, you have to get personal enough that you really understand what the why, the life impact, all those emotional things you're talking about that bring them there, that's going to get them to pull out the checkbook, right, and make a commitment of time, energy, and money, and focus that they're going to trust us. And so that life impact is like everything to them. So
Perfect.
I think having clarity on that avatar is like, what a great project. And almost none of us do that, because we don't want to limit, or we have a hard time. I guess I don't know. I think some of us, like, we want to just help everybody, but there's truly, I think, an avatar for each of us.
Yeah. And so, even if you're all PI, what does that look like? And what was the accident, and what are the circumstances, and like what lawyer do they have, and all of the things that were, or, PD, whatever you want to focus on, if you wanted to do, pregnant and babies or whatever, what does that look like? Or athletes, or whatever segment that you wanted. Perfect. All right. And so here is another mindset that I'd like you to have in marketing and communicating with people and creating social media and making any offers, is when we're speaking to somebody, what they have is not normal or okay, right? That chiropractic and you personally have helped many people with conditions like this, but we don't know if we can help any individual or not unless we were able to examine them. And we'd be happy to examine you. As opposed to, you have headaches. Well, we've never not fixed anybody that's had headaches. You'd be a complete effing moron not to come in if you have headaches, right? It's a different mindset. Even though if that's your attitude, right? I want you to have this mindset. What you have is not okay. I've helped many people with similar, in fact, worse conditions than you've described. Don't know if I can help you. What would determine that if I was able to examine you, and then if you have an offer, right, whether it's giving anything away or not. In fact, you don't even need to, right? Like, we're going to use this mentality in this process online or even in screenings, right, to examine you. Here's what our exam is, and here's what it costs. It's $399, Steve, right? And like, is this something that you want to take advantage of? And so, if you're selling it for top dollar at a marketing event, you'll probably get significantly less closes, but they'll be highly committed. And so, there's a bunch of ways to test that and try it. And so with that, there is a limitless list of marketing strategies. And so my favorite limit list of marketing strategy stories is the Herman brothers that either still or used to practice in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And so they attended my marketing seminar, and in the course of that, shared with me like their manual of like 280 different marketing strategies. It was like probably, the most different strategies that I'd ever seen put together at once. And the one brother was the chiropractor, and the other one was like an MBA, and he ran the marketing in the business. And like they had like, at the vet pet dipping day promotion, and they had limitless promotions. And so I'm for whatever set of actions actually produces new patients in your practice. I'm just pointing out that there are, limitless. Many docs started successfully by doing a door-to-door survey. And in fact, I had one of my docs did that. And, the war story is he got kicked out of 2 different communities by 2 different sets of police on the same day. And so like that's an extreme level. But even what, we heard with business drop-ins, and in general, overall in all of these, the direct result of taking actions is critical. It's why we're doing it. But who we become in the aggregate, again, strengthens that magnet that I talked about earlier. Am I not recording? Oh boy, hang on. No, I'm recording. It's all good. And so we're going to create a written marketing plan, and we're going to do that based on strategies and tactics. And so within each strategy, we want to name it, create a little mini vision, a goal, and then what the measurable tactics, otherwise known as to-do steps, what you want to get done. And I like to set it up in a monthly basis. And so this is the default strategies. And again, we have good news, because what we're going to be able to do, hang on, is we're going to reduce a significant amount of work here. And so these are the strategies. You could I want you, in fact, part of the homework is to turn in your own written marketing plan by Tuesday. And so you can start with this, and you can modify it in any way that you want. You can accept, it's pretty aggressive the way that it is. And so I want you to personalize it. And so this first event, which I was going to talk about in detail, but I'm not, right? We want to replace this with business drop-ins. Business drop-ins, right? And so like, what's the little mini vision? Establishing trusting relationship with small business owners and HR executives to understand their needs and how we might serve them. That still stands up, right? Speak or screen. So here's a measurable goal, is to speak or screen, or to coffee break 40 individuals a month, ideally at work. And that's the measurable outcome. And so in this case, right, so let's call it 20 drop-ins a month. And I know Jeremiah is going to say, why so little? 20 drop-ins a month. Drop-ins. And if this was your only big strategy, that number might be much more, right? And so 20 drop-ins, and we'd like to have at least 10 events scheduled, right? And so maybe they're for a couple of weeks out, but we want to have, in that month, we'd like to have, let's even call it 4 events, 1 a week, right? And then I would also have perhaps 1 hour of sales training. And so one of the areas to function in for the rest of our careers is in sales. And so I think that you should be doing sales training. There's lots of no cost, low cost, and expensive cost sales training out there. There's different topics. This particular one is prospecting. Who should we speak to? Like, what businesses should we go into? And then, building rapport and presenting and handling objections and closing, right? And so learning all of those. And so this is the way that strategy now looks, right? And so let's save it. Boom, boom. All right. Retail screenings. And so what is going on here?
Hey, Dr. Lee, I have a question.
Yeah.
For a CA
Yeah.
to go do drop-ins,
Yeah.
who's on like an hourly wage, what
Yeah.
might be and if Jeremiah is listening too, I would be interested in his answer about compensating. Like, how might you suggest setting up the game, for them to go out, and if based on what might you
I still would like to base it based on ultimately on collections so that they're focused on getting qualified people and we're not paying by the head and
Right.
so it would be some percentage, it would be some base plus a bonus based on collections.
okay. I have always, okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
So public screening wise, again, if I was interacting with 40 people at work, I would not be focused on public screenings. Yet there's nobody that screened more people in the public that than me, right? So again, like in the olden days, we used to go 4 days a week, 4 days a month, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the mall, where only 25% of the people in the mall were in our area, but it was the mall that our people went to, right? And then a bunch of other crazy, I've screened everywhere. And so you don't need to do that. I think at work, and it happens during the work week, is the winning thing, right? We're going to talk about internet, website review, social media influencer, and YouTube in-stream video, right? And so I'm going to ask Steve, many years ago, I had Steve just do the first video. He shot one video, they set it up once, and what's the new patient result from that?
That's the best thing I ever did. Every week we get a couple of calls.
Right, and do you have any sense as to what you spend a month on that?
I spend probably $1,000 to $2,000, but that is also for the Google ads. That's for everything.
Right.
So a percentage of that, I would say it's probably $300 to $500 a month.
Yeah.
Goes on the video, and it's just evergreen. It just keeps,
Right. And then personal sphere of influence, professional referrals, Dream 100 and Circle of 5. Then internally, a referral program, condition of the month. I'm not actually going to talk about that, but maybe there's a slide on it. And I put online reviews in there. That's probably internet as well. But it's a hybrid. And so just getting the format. And so the question here is, if you looked at the tactics column, and we were able to make that bigger, which I'm sure I can actually, a little bit. Right? If all of this stuff got done every month, right? We did 20 drop-ins, we scheduled 10 events, we conducted 4 events, we worked on our website, what picture, or you need a map, or you need directions, or the new picture of you, or your schedule now button needs to be improved, right? We're going to work on these 2 strategies. And you did all of the things in this column, right? With the purpose and the mission and the battery of who we've been talking about. Again, you will break through that first threshold and have new patients, right? And so that's what we're dedicated to. So on the web, again, takeaways, action steps to be recording. Am I sharing here? Yes. You can see my screen. Yes.
yes.
Right. So one is to have a uniform presence of all your key data online. And so you should Google yourself in your office in any other way. And is the address the same university? Like, is one place STREET and the other place is ST period? Right? Is the phone number, so it's one of the challenges if you have a marketing phone number for some third-party company, right? So then the phone number shows up different, but they track it. And so if it produces, it's okay, but I'm not a great fan of that. But like, you want to have a uniform presence on it. There's this subject that I don't really fully understand that I'm going to confess to, which is SEO, which is how you show up in searches and connections and backlinks and all of that stuff. And like, it should be super strong, but I'm not sure where to direct you. And so like, I do think that Review Wave, which I've never talked to the guys, I don't know them. The only thing I know is that my clients are generally happy with them, that they do that and online reviews and appointment reminders pretty strongly, right? And so you want to have a system in place to make sure that you're having online reviews on a regular basis. We're going to do a digital audit right now. We're going to build online authority. Let's see where we are here. So uniform, your address, your picture, your phone number, your URL, right? It's all uniform. So in Australia, the one subway, the one transit stop from where we were staying on the way to like 7 stops into the center of the city, there was this like school, and like all the kids, it was like K through 12. And so they're different uniforms, and every day at 3 o'clock, you'd see them pour on, and they stand out, and that's who they are. And so we want to be, this is our look, this is who it is, it's all uniform, right? Reviews. So whether you do it manually, but to request reviews at the right time. And I think even like right after the patient signs up on day 2 and they've said yes, it's a good time to ask for a review of that process. It was the best exam I ever had. The doctor took, a lot of time to explain my condition. I feel that I'm at the right place, 5-star review, right? At visit 12, right? I'm starting to feel better. I'm a miracle, or I had this problem forever. At visit 24, at visit 36. Right? And so that we're getting a growing number of online reviews. We want to request in the office when it's appropriate. The patient makes the big symptomatic jump. They say something. I slept through the night. I was able to lift the baby. I'm able to go back to work, whatever it is, when it's appropriate. When we get an online review, there should be either a fully or semi-automated system to promote the new online review. And so imagine that 3 times a week, you see your dentist's 5-star reviews in your email box that you never read, but you see them, right? Does that reinforce like my cleanings in April, right? And so we want to show up and have the people that get them open when it's appropriate, but also to see them. And so on emails, certainly having links to the super signature. And so if you see my, we'll talk about that in a second. We should acknowledge, right? You should be thinking about anybody that submits a review, that, a 5-star review of like how we might want to acknowledge them. Similar to referring, they could be part of an ambassador program to the office per se. And then handling negative reviews. And so the first element is that having no negative reviews, I think, can be a negative, right? And it's not that I'm looking for negative reviews, but I also want to look human. And with the number of people that we deal with, right, we're likely to interact with some people that only provide negative reviews, and like it's really on them. And so if the negative review is really our fault, I want to take ownership of it, right? And so, the doctor ran an hour and a half late, which I would doubt is any of you, but if it did, like, we certainly did, and I apologize, and here's the story, and here's the emergency, but you're right, and we aim to do better, and we own it. But like oftentimes, like the person wasn't even in the office. And so we want to respond appropriately. And like, we're sorry that you felt that way. We like to provide detailed information so patients can decide what's best for them. Like, the person that expected to get cracked once on the first day, and like that was going to be their whole experience. And they give you a negative review because you didn't want to do that. So to respond appropriately, and like I said, you shouldn't have, it should certainly be 2% or less. And so out of 100, you might have 2 negative reviews, right? That a digital audit. And so that was also on the page that I sent you. And so this is a new concept, and I want you to see the righteousness of this as we go into the digital age. And so again, this isn't super sexy looking, but efficient no less. So step 1 of more eyes seeing more content is measuring how many eyes. And so what we want to do is to measure all of our digital sources of where we are in terms of like head count. And so your largest email list, you can put it in chat if you know. What's your largest email list, right? And if you focused on it, could we add, 30 this month or 50 this month, right? How many active care? And so do you even have the subset that you could pull up of active care patients? And so I call these patients, they're in their, first care plan, or they're in a care plan that's not maintenance or supportive care, right? How many of those? How many patients are in supportive care, right? Or otherwise known as maintenance patients or lifetime patients? How many inactives, right? And then how many friends on your personal Facebook page, and how many of those are either personal, or one of the strategies is going to be is to use it looking for our ideal new patient, the Mr. Potato Head that we focused on. And so now we can use all of those. What groups online is your ideal patient a member of? So that when we go looking for a like type people, like they're in this group, and like there's there's a high chance that we're going to find out, so if you have moms as your avatar, and we've defined, the moms is the, the natural childbirth group, or the doula group, or the wherever group, right? There's going to be a lot of women in there that are going to be your prospective ideal patients, right? Or I'm in, the history of baseball groups. If you were looking for 60-year-olds with whatever you're going to try to sell to us 60-year-olds, right? Your office Facebook page, how many followers, your Facebook group. And so I think it's pretty amazing. So my biggest thing is and you can think about this in response to at what points might you ask people, but right when they schedule is part of the confirmation emails. Here's what I want you to do, right? Put the appointment in your digital calendar, join my Facebook group. And again, we've had conversation about watch this video, and you could just have a welcome video that you're excited to meet them. And then after day 1, there could be the email that like gives them the pre-report of finding talk. I still like to do it or not, but anyhow, just knowing that, right? And then if you're on any other platform, how many Instagram followers, how many Twitter followers, how many connections on LinkedIn, other ones that I'm too old to know about, how many of those? And then separately, how many Google reviews, how many Yelp reviews, and if you're on anything else that's important, how many of those reviews? And just to be super clear, we don't ever, I think that's 5 evers, want to pay Yelp a penny for anything under any circumstance. But like you probably have reviews on there, and so we want to keep an eye on it. But anywhere that we would have reviews, right? And so that's the digital audit. And so I think it should be done on a monthly basis. And so does it make sense? Like, again, just by focusing on it, we're growing mailing lists, we're growing segments, we're going to add more friends. We have more eyes, and now we're going to create more content. Something that you heard here, takeaways. Oh, do I have to unmute you? Steve? Dr. Dean, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Takeaways.
Really, is for me is there's so many different baskets you could put your marketing into. You need to make sure you kind of have a diverse load, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Trying to identify what's being the most fruitful, then kind of focus in and target that one a little bit more.
Right, we want the one basket to keep delivering eggs as we add a second basket, a third basket, a fourth basket, and then one of the baskets stops, so we need to replace it. And so like it's 3 to 6 strategies, and you know, it's a real simple measurement. Today is the 11th. If you have 11 new patients in, right, sleep well at night. If you don't, like, what are you going to do this week to catch up? And if, you know, there's still 20 days left in March. And so even if you were at 0, if your life depended on it, or if there was $1 million reward that you had 31 new patients in 20 days, like, you know, would you act differently? And we're arguing that that's exactly the case. Dr. Benson, did you have a share?
A question about that video. Where
Yeah.
do we learn how to do that?
I have it, and it's the pre-report video. I think it's included. Did I include that in the documents? Pre-report video. It would be in the PVA. Yeah, I didn't, but it's available. It's down, like the script is downloadable, and we can talk about that individually. All right. That's good. So we can close that out, go back to over here.
Dr. Lee,
Yes,
can you send us that Excel spreadsheet?
the marketing,
Yeah,
I think it was in the
okay. I'll double check. Thank you.
whale hunting spreadsheet, marketing plan. Oh,
Okay.
I'm looking at it on my other screen. Marketing plan.
Okay,
Right,
thank you.
right, yeah. All right. Digital audit we did. Okay, this is a good time to break. And so we're going to break. It's 10:33. We're going to start. So it's 12:33 Eastern. We are 12:33. Do you guys want to eat and take the half hour now, or do you want to take 15 minutes?
Doesn't matter.
Let's split the difference. We're going to start in 22 minutes at 5 minutes to the, well, that's half the day. Let's go one more before we break for half an hour. So let's just break for 7 minutes. And so at 12:40 Eastern and 10:40 Mountain and whatever it is for you, we will pick up 7 minutes. And that's it for now. Boom.